welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sierra. If you're not new, welcome back. I just want to start off by saying my nails are disgusting, so if you see any close-ups, please ignore them. I picked them all off because I am crazy. Also, the dogs are being terrible today, so if you hear them in the background, he's being calm right now, but if you hear them in the background, they're being nuts today, and they're just not listening worth a crap. So please try to ignore it. But today I thought I would share with you guys how I manage my finances for the month and kind of how I plan out my bills and things like that, because as I'm filming this, it is June 1st. We just got back from the beach yesterday and I have a blank canvas to start June with. So basically what I do, I just have this calendar and it is a dry erase calendar. I put command hooks and a magnet on the bottom and I hang it on our fridge so that I can see it. It's there every day. I pass it multiple times a day so that way I don't forget it. I'm a very visual person. So this makes it easier for me to write everything down, know exactly when stuff's due, when we get paid, when we have events, things like that. So I just use this black marker that came with it. And then I also have these ultra fine tip Expo markers because sometimes it's easier to use these to write certain things because this is kind of a thicker marker and it just takes up a lot of space. So I use these. I will link things down below. I may not have the exact link, but I will try to find something very, very similar, if not the exact thing. I believe I got this at Walmart or Target, but I'm not sure. Like I said, I'll link it down below or something very similar. So yeah, I thought I would share with you guys that. Again, we do pay all our own bills. I do have a little bit of help from my mom on my student loans, but other than that, like, we pay for everything ourselves, so we have to be very cautious about what we're spending and when we're spending it and things like that. So I'm gonna kind of go over how we decide like when we know we can splurge and all that good stuff. But the first thing I need to do is this. I need to fill everything out on the calendar and then I'll kind of go over it. So let's get started. So once I have all the dates and everything written on the calendar, I go through with the red marker and I mark the days that I get paid. And then I go through with a blue marker and write the dates that Jonathan gets paid. Just one, so we can keep up with it, and that's really the only reason. I keep up with it because I'm crazy and I calculate things like way in advance, but I just circle the date. So like I get paid this Friday, so I'll just circle the 4, and we both get paid bi-weekly but opposite weeks. So I get paid this week, he gets paid next week, I'll get paid the week after that. So we always have a paycheck every week coming in between the two of us. I go in and I just circle, nothing fancy, that way we just know what days we get paid. And then the next thing I do is in black, I go through and write all the bills that we share. So our house, our power, our water, our Wi-Fi, our security system. I think that's all that we have, and a lot of them were due today, so I'll kind of talk about how we prepare for that, because obviously since it's due on the first day of the month, we have to kind of plan for that the month ahead of time. I just go through and, like I said, write on it, and everything, all of our bills are due on the same day of each month. Like our house bill or our house payment is always due on the first of every month, not like all of our bills together are due. But there are two that are not on the same day, which is our Wi-Fi and our power, but they just so happen to be due on the first of this month. So I'm gonna go ahead and write them on here even though we've paid them, just because once they're paid, I like to go through and cross them off to like make sure that I know that it's paid. I don't double pay it or something like that. And then the other bills that we have that I know of that are due, our security system bill is due on the 20th of the month, so I'll just go ahead and write that here in black. Our water bill is always due on the 10th. We get it on the 25th, but it's not due till the 10th, so we just pay it by the 10th so that we don't forget. Which is kind of nice because we have a little bit of like leniency, I guess you would say. I'm trying to think, what else do we pay for? Is that it? So this is all the bills that we have due together. Like I said, they're all in black, color coordinated, so it's easier to know like when I have a bill due, when he has a bill due, and when we both have a bill due. So then the next thing I do is go through with the red marker and mark everything that I have due for the month. Oh, our phone bill, that is something else. That is always on the 7th. I knew I was missing something. Alrighty. So I have my car payments, my loans, and my, is that it? Yeah, my car payment and my loans are the only things that I have due like by myself. My loans are always due by the 20th. So typically me and my mom have it worked out where like I'll give her like half one paycheck, half the other paycheck. It's not like super strict if I don't get it to her by the 20th, but typically I do just because that's when it's due. I'm very fortunate that we split that in half for now. That helps me out a lot actually. And then my car payment, I don't have a specific day of the month that has to be paid either. Again, I'm very fortunate to be in this situation. Whenever I bought my car, I was still working at the grocery store and the bank wouldn't give me a loan because I didn't make enough money, even though I had plenty of money to pay for it. And I had really great credit, but the bank wouldn't give me a loan. So I'm very fortunate that my grandma actually gave me all the money to pay for the entire car in full up front. I just bought it from like a lady that was selling her car on Facebook. I didn't buy it from a dealership, so that kind of helped me out. And then I didn't have to go through the banks, and I'm just paying my grandma back every month. I pay her the same amount every month, but she doesn't have like a date that I have to give it to her by. So I just give it to her when I have it. Typically, I just factor that into one of my paychecks. But I don't write that on the calendar because I just know that. I've been paying it for over a year now, so I just know that it has to be paid. And I don't like to put a date on it because if for whatever reason I was unable to pay for it, then my grandma, bless her soul, would probably be very understanding. I'm very fortunate in that, but I don't write on here. I just kind of keep that mental note in my head. There is a dog loose outside, and I don't know whose dog that is. But they're chasing it down the street and it's not coming to them, and they're wondering why. So anyway, and then the next thing we have is Jonathan's bills, and to be honest, I don't exactly know when his bills are due. I know his car is due on like the 28th of the month, so I just put J car because even though it's in blue, I don't want to like get it confused with my car because bless his soul, he's very forgetful. Also, he has insurance, but it's only due every other month, and I don't know when that is, so I don't really write that on here. I also write on here when I go to court for work because I have to remember to like dress nice. And yeah, so I'm gonna put that on here. This has nothing to do with money. This is just how I plan out our month, like our entire month, finances, trips, all that good stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and write court on here, and it's in red so that I know it's my court date, not Jonathan's. And then next Sunday, I also have my sister's dance recital at 1 o'clock. So I'm gonna write that in red because obviously I'm the only one going to that. So Jonathan is going to Montana this Friday. He will be there till next Wednesday. So I'm gonna go ahead and write that. And then he also has a drill the weekend after. We think, we don't know. That's a whole thing, whole story time I could give y'all, but I'm not gonna do that right now because it's gonna make me angry. So I'm not. So I'm just gonna write Montana at the bottom of all the days. And I kind of screwed up. I should go week by week because then I end up writing and like getting it all over my hand and like rubbing stuff off. But oh well. And then Wednesday I'm gonna have to pick him up at the airport, so I'm gonna write that on here in red so that I remember that I need to do it. We look like we have a very busy month, but we really don't. And then I'm gonna go back and write Jonathan's drill dates. And then I need to go back through, and then in green is when I put things like that we're doing. So trips, or like if we're going to a concert, which we're not right now, but if we were going on a trip, if we were going to a concert, something like that, I go through and write that in green because, you know, if we're going on a trip, we need to have money for that. Next Monday, we are starting Axel's training. We already have the money set aside for that. We just have to remember to take it, but I need to put it on here so that we don't forget to go. We are getting him trained for a couple of different things. I can make a whole video on that probably, but I'm gonna wait because there's some stuff that we're still up in the air about that I don't want to like put out there yet because, well, I'm hoping that it doesn't happen. So we'll see. And this probably sounds extra crazy, but like if we have something in the morning, I write it at the top, and then if we have something like at night, I put it at the bottom, just because like I'm gonna write what time it is too, but just because my brain works like that. If it's at the bottom, it's a later in the day. If it's at the top, I need to get to it sooner kind of thing. I had to take a brief intermission because my camera died. So if you see the wet stain on my shirt, it's because I washed dishes while my battery charged. And if you notice that the lighting is absolutely terrible and different, then that's why. So back to our regularly scheduled programming. So while I was doing the dishes, I realized that I forgot a bill of mine on the calendar, which is my credit card bill, and that is always my most expensive bill because I have a spending problem. So that's due on the 17th. So I need to put that on here. And now I think I have all of our bills and trips and all that good stuff on here. So this is what it looks like. Nothing fancy. It is color coded, but it's nothing fancy. So that is where I start, because then I have a visual of everything that's due. I don't put how much the things that our bills are, like I don't put how much they cost, just because that's a lot of writing. And a lot of times when I first make it at the beginning of the month, I don't actually know how much they're gonna cost, just because it takes a little while for it to like process sometimes for like our power bill and our water bill. So sometimes I don't have those. Like our water bill is due the 10th and I don't have it yet. So I don't actually know how much that is. So I don't write that down, but I can kind of ballpark it. It's usually about 50 or 60 bucks. I don't really know why our water bill is so high. I feel like that's expensive, but maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, so next I thought I would kind of go over how we like manage our money after I've planned it all out, or not planned it out, but after I've written it all out and all that good stuff, how we manage to actually afford it all. So me and Jonathan do both work full-time, 40 hours a week. I'm not gonna like put how much we make or anything like that because that's not really important. I mean, it kind of is, because if we didn't have, if we didn't have these jobs, then obviously we wouldn't be able to pay our bills, but that's not really the importance of this video. Please stop. He's being nuts today. So for the purposes of this video, I'm gonna make like fake numbers, but I'm just gonna tell you how I like come up with how I know when I can spend money and when I need to like chill out. Let's get into that. All right, so I'm gonna be real honest with y'all. My method for doing this is a little insane, and it probably doesn't work for a lot of people, but for me, it's what works. So I'm gonna share it with you in case you have a crazy brain like I do. So at the start of the month, I look at how much I have in my bank account, and I go through, like I take that number and I subtract all the bills until I get paid again. So for example, like this Sunday or yesterday, I looked at my bank account and I was like, okay, I have this much money. And then I was like, okay, how much is my portion of all the bills we have due until I get paid again, which just so happens to be this Friday. So I took out all that and I saw how much I had, and then I added my paycheck to that, because my paychecks are always the same. I'm technically not a salaried employee, but I basically am. So all my paychecks are the exact same amount, so I always know how much they are, which is really nice for me. It helps me out a lot, not having to guess. But anyway, not the point. So I take what I start with, and then I subtract all the bills that I have until the next paycheck. Then I add that paycheck in, subtract all the bills that I'm gonna have again until the next paycheck. These are completely false numbers. This is not real life how much I have in my account, okay? Let's just say I start out with $5,000, okay? So $5,000, and then let's say that the house, the power, and the Wi-Fi, my portion comes out to like 500. So take 5,000 minus 500, okay? Then I don't have any more bills this week, and I get paid this Friday. So I would add a paycheck. So let's say I make $1,500 a paycheck. So then I would add that back. So that brings me to $6,000 for the end of this week, okay? So then I'm gonna add in my portion of the bills until my next paycheck, which in this case is my phone, the water bill, Access training money is already set aside, so that doesn't really count, and then my credit card, okay? So let's just say between those three bills, it's $2,000. So I'm gonna minus the $2,000, and then I get paid again on this Friday. I don't know if you guys can actually see the calendar from there, but anyway, I get paid again on this Friday. So I would add my paycheck again. We'll just say another $1,500. So then that brings me to $5,500, okay? And then I don't get paid again till here, but you have to think ahead, and this is the first of the month. So I know that my house bill is due this day, plus probably some other stuff, but I'm not exactly sure what. But I do know that I have my loans due and our CPI bill. For example, I pay $400 for my portion of my loans plus our CPI bill. So we'll just say like $500. So then I'm gonna subtract that $500, and that brings me right back to $5,000. I don't know how that happened. I just literally picked random numbers. But anyway, so then I know that once all my bills for this month are paid, again, some of them have to be guesstimates because I don't know exactly, that's how much money I'm gonna have left. And in my brain, I like to have a certain amount in my account at all times. So if it's more than that number, like if the amount I have left at the end of the month is more than the amount I like to keep and not touch, then I know, okay, this is about how much I can spend for the month. So let's just say, for this example, let's say that I like to keep $4,500 in my account at all times. Again, these numbers are fake. They're just easier for me to use fake numbers than real ones because it's too technical. Let's just say I like to keep $4,500 in my account at all times. And after all my bills and all my paychecks for the month of June, I have $5,000 left. So that gives me like $500 to like spend on random stuff. Keep in mind, my credit card bill is included in that, and a lot of times my credit card bill is like groceries and like random stuff that I get on Amazon, and like almost everything that's not a bill I put on my credit card. So a lot of like splurges I did technically already pay for in this scenario. For example, I want to buy Final Cut Pro. It's $300, but I don't know when I'm going to be able to afford that. Right now I'm using the free trial version. I'm going to keep using it until it's up. But if I got to that point where the trial was up and I'm like, can I afford this extra $300 that I wouldn't typically spend on my credit card or in a bill or whatever, I would look and be like, okay, this is how much I can splurge on. Either yes, I have enough in here to be able to spend that money and still have what I want to have to be what I consider to be comfortable, or no, I'm going to be pushing it to not have that number anymore, so then I can't buy it. I don't know if that makes sense. If it doesn't, I'm sorry, but I tried to explain it the best I could. That's just how my brain works. It's a lot of work to like think it out, but it just helps me know like, okay, I can spend this money and I can feel okay spending that money, and I don't have to worry about, are my bills gonna get paid? Am I gonna only have like $100 left in my account once I buy all this stuff? Because I'm very cautious when I spend stuff. Like Jonathan made the comment, he's like, I don't know how you have that much money because you're always shopping. And I'm like, yes, I am shopping a lot, but I plan for it. Like I said, I'm not a salaried employee, but I technically like get paid like a salary employee. So I know how much all my paychecks are. I typically know a roundabout number of what all our bills are going to cost. So by subtracting and adding all that together for the month, I know how much I can spend. So I know how much is set aside that I'm actually making for the month. I know how much I need to set aside to pay the bills. And then I know how much I like to have in my account. So then that leaves me with a number of, okay, this is how much extra I can spend on top of what I'm already gonna have to be spending. And it just makes sense in my brain because I'm such a planner. Like I'm to a T, like everything. Check my bank account like 3 times every day to make sure that there's how much money in there that I'm supposed to be. So like I just got my taxes back, and when I looked at my account, obviously I had a lot more money than I realized, and I was like, something's wrong. Like most people would see that and be like, oh heck yeah, I've got all this money. But I was like, where did this come from? Like, are they gonna take it back out, or like is it mine to keep? So that was before I realized it was my tax money, but then obviously I realized it was. But before that, I was like, oh crap, like, are they gonna, like, has someone stolen my card and, like, giving me all this money, and then they're just gonna hack my bank account? Like, that was my first thought, not like, oh, heck yeah, I hit the jackpot. I'm very crazy about my money, but that's how I do it, and it makes it easier for me. It also helps, like I said, me and Jonathan split all the bills, so I know that it's gonna be half of that, and then all my other bills, like my car payment is the same every month. The amount I pay for my loans is the same every month. The only thing that differs a little is my credit card bill, but it's generally within, like, $100 of the same amount every month. But that's just what I do. So like when we're planning for a trip, especially if it's like in the future, like say I plan a trip now but we're not going until September, I typically do where we pay half now, half later. I don't typically pay it all at once just in case something were to happen. But if we do schedule something this far in advance, then I know like, okay, this is coming up, this is coming up, I have this many months until whatever, this is the time frame I have to save it. Another thing I do to make sure that I can keep my savings up, my savings account up, like not continuing to stay the same thing, I always put 10%, at least 10% of my paycheck into my savings account. A lot of times it's more just because I'm able to do that, luckily. But if you're not, a good way to build up a savings account and have like an emergency fund or whatever, put 10% of your check into it each time you get paid. So that's what I've been doing. Like I said, I do typically put more, but I don't touch it. Once I put it in there, I don't touch it. My bank actually, if I transfer it back and forth too many times, it actually like charges me. So that's one reason. But another reason, if I put it in there and I don't touch it, then I don't have to worry about it dwindling down. So my savings account looking great right now because of that reason. Like I don't spend it. The only thing that I spend my savings account money on is super big purchases. So for example, Axel's training, I'll go ahead and tell you guys because this is a pretty standard number. It is $2,500. Me and Jonathan are splitting it, but I don't want to completely demolish my checking account by paying out that for that. So I don't want it to go down to $0. So I'm gonna take a little bit from my checking account, and then I'm gonna take a bigger portion from my savings, because that's what savings is for the big purchases and emergencies. That's what I use that money for. My checking account is basically, I just have it for bills, and then if for whatever reason, some places don't accept my credit card because it's Discover. So if for whatever reason they don't accept it, then I'll charge things to my debit card. But typically I don't use that except for bills. This is probably, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people are like this, where you want to keep a certain number in your account at all times just because it makes you feel good or whatever. But to me, once I get to a certain number, I have $0. Like, that money is not real to me. So, like, for example, let's say that, like, in the example I used earlier, let's say I want $4,500 in my account at all times. I don't know who's got that kind of money. It's not me, I'm gonna be honest. But let's say that I wanted $4,500 in my account at all times. Let's say I got down to $4,000. I have $0. In my brain, $0 is in my account. I cannot spend any money on anything, okay? Unless, of course, it's a bill or something. But to me, that's just how my brain works, and that makes it easier for me. I have a lot of self-control when it comes to buying things, because I don't just go here, there, and everywhere and buy stuff because I feel like it. I actually, like, think about stuff, like, for a while, and I'm the kind that goes and, like, looks, puts it in my cart, and just, like, leaves it sitting there for a little while until I'm like, okay, now's a better time for me to buy this. So right now, like I said, I just got my taxes back. So now I'm like, okay, I wasn't expecting this money, but I need to be smart about what I'm gonna do with it. I don't need to just blow it all now, because what if I need it later? So a big chunk of it went to my savings, but then I did keep a little for our beach trip, and then also just to have, because I need to get some things for around the house and things like that. That's just kind of how I do it. I hope this video made sense. If you want me to go into more detail about something, leave it in the comments below, and I'll try to clarify, like, some of the stuff I said. I know my brain is crazy and it works like 20,000 miles a minute. So if this was really fast paced or confusing, I apologize. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below. Join the YouTube fam over here. We're growing slowly but surely, and I appreciate all you guys watching my videos. If you leave it in the comments below that you're confused as heck and you need help, I will try to help, because I'm such a save your money, don't spend it on stupid stuff, and like plan out your money, because that is the greatest thing I've done, especially with a calendar, because you can see when stuff is due, you can see when you're paid. So like, if all your bills are due one day and you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna have no money, and then you see it on the calendar, oh, I get paid the very next day, then that kind of like boosts your spirits a little bit, or at least it does mine. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up, subscribe down below, and I will see you guys next time.